You are watching FreightWaves now, and we have a guest coming up right now. His name is Derek Marcil. He's the Director of Project Management for Next Trucking. Derek, how are things going? How are you this morning?
Good. Good morning. Happy Wednesday and happy belated Earth Day. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks. You let in great there with that belated Earth Day. No, we're going to talk a little about sustainability and what kind of Next Trucking's doing. I mean, how are organizations starting to kind of think about this sustainability ahead? Obviously, there's some new legislation coming down the pipeline around sustainability. How are organizations starting to think about that before it really takes effect?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, while it would be great on many fronts to immediately switch to a zero emissions, green shipping future, the fact of the matter is there are several obstacles that need solutions before any sort of legislation around electric or otherwise clean trucks can realistically be implemented. As an example to that, infrastructure, right? The electrical charging simply does not currently exist at the scale required to support the industry. And if you think about the initial fleet investment for the smaller trucks, 6 trucks or smaller fleets that are 6 trucks or fewer, these trucks aren't cheap. And so while the long-term, cost of ownership benefits are there, and we know that, and there's been a lot of analysis into that, and it's ultimately a boon for companies, asking small independent businesses like that to make that kind of investment seems a bit unreasonable without having well-established plans in place. However, I think there are several things that trucking companies can think about right now that can have a major impact on the environment. So, as well as their bottom lines, which is, think about the idling and wait times, that they have due to congestion, right? So what are those? And understanding that and figuring out, what are the better ways with which we can work with different partners to improve upon that, because those idle times are really impacting the environment, and that's a real contributor. And also thinking about, are there ways with which we can introduce better trips, round trips, things that are more effective route planning that, trucks to actually not be empty. I think that's a huge amount of waste that are offered here.
Yeah, I think you brought up a great point there early about this kind of the impacts of these new EVs and those impacts on smaller carriers, right? We've talked a lot about the smaller carriers here at FreightWaves, and we've talked about like used truck prices, and that's where they find their way in. And really, the EV space is so new that there isn't a lot of ability to get into the EV at a used truck price, right? And we're talking prices that are somewhat double even just the used truck or even a new diesel truck price.
Well, even a lot of those trucks aren't even off the line yet, right? I mean, you're purchasing a promise to get the car, and a lot of them aren't just off of the manufacturing line yet. So, you have a big gap between wanting to achieve green right now, but the reality is that it's just not there yet. And I hope that's something that will turn around very soon.
Yeah, awesome. So what are some of the future projections on the future of both domestic and international shipping as it relates to, we see this Green Corridor ocean shipping initiative. How does that impact both international and domestic shipping?
Yeah, that's awesome. So the zero emissions is a really ambitious goal, right? Everything we know, that's in the headlines. Everything that we're working on, not just in the shipping and logistics space, but everything is touching on zero emissions and climate change. And so, is it achievable? I think so. I think it's achievable with intelligent public policy as well as well-designed implementation programs. One of the unexpected things that we saw, especially in the outcomes of the pandemic, has been this newfound willingness to cooperate, right, across the supply chain ecosystem. Whether you're a steamship line, a terminal, you have them now working together with labor, trucking, and warehousing to create solutions that ultimately improve the system end to end. And I think with the support of local and federal government entities, you can start to see a monumental shift in how we move goods. And ultimately, I think what the shipping initiative highlighted and as one of the tenets there was, fostering more collaboration and fostering, ways to measure the effects of what it is that they're doing. And so if we can continue to foster that, there's no reason why we couldn't achieve zero emissions.
Yeah, I guess that leads into the next point is, Do you think the U.S. will be able to reach that zero emission, zero greenhouse gas by 2050, as I think the initiative lays out?
I do think so. I mean, I think, again, it's going to require a strong amount of discipline in the types of policies and programs that are being rolled out. And honestly, it'll take a bit of an understanding and a commitment by, shippers and carriers alike to follow through. One of the cool things about the initiative is that they want to just start, very in a corridor, in a small area, and then scale that out as quickly as possible, being the model for everywhere else to follow. So I think the more that we can progressively, shift towards this mindset, then I think that goal in 2050 is definitely achievable.
Awesome. And I think that brings us to a great point, right? Kind of giving the background on all these initiatives and the kind of the plan. And it leads into what's Next Trucking doing to help sustainability, right? I mean, what are you all doing to make that happen?
No, yeah, we've at Next, we were founded in 2015. We've been helping to mitigate environmental impacts, at least in the sense of trucking, since then. One of our core sort of product features is load matching and route bundling, which is part of our DNA. And if you can intelligently match drivers with loads that match their priorities, it not only increases their active hours, but decreases the number of trips required for an individual load, therefore limiting emissions associated with multiple trips. Over the last year, we've been increasingly focused on collaborating with, steamship lines and terminals and ports. And actually, not too long ago, my colleague, I know, announced Nexpedited as a program, and where we have actually launched this as a sole focus for decreasing friction in the drayage process. So super excited about that. I think that can be a model that allows both truckers to spend less time idling, and then in the ports and steamship lines to spend less time anchored outside. So we believe that that's a model that we want to try and scale out across the country in different ports, and we're doubling down on that right now.
It's exciting to look forward to what you guys might be having up next. I kind of wanted to go back to the zero emissions by 2050. What might be the biggest obstacles to getting there?
Yeah, so the challenge right now, I think, is that maritime shipping accounts for right now 3% of global emissions, right? And I think, with left unchecked, this can scale up to as high as 17%, at least from some of the predictions that I saw. And, one of the biggest challenges, of course, is committing to the fact that, they need to be working or identifying companies that are utilizing cleaner burning fuels, such as clean and natural gas, LNGs and biofuels whenever possible. And I actually think, certain steamship lines are starting to invest a bit more using ships that are using renewables and ships that are actually wind powered or using photovoltaics. I think this is sort of the barrier that right now a lot of the companies that are attempting to move into a more greener space are encountering. But like I said, I think with strong policy, smart implementation programs, those challenges that come along with the barriers should be lesser going forward.
Great. And those barriers, like you said, you're seeing those mitigations. What is one thing you want everybody if there's one thing that you want everybody to work towards, what is that?
Okay. Everybody. Wow. Okay. That's a good question. I think for everybody, I think it's important to acknowledge that nowadays are really, making choices about, the kinds of products and the kinds of services that they are, that they're going to take advantage of in their own lives. And I think that understanding that, knowing that they are, making choices towards products and services that are more sustainable, more green, I think businesses and other entities should acknowledge that this is good business for them, that a commitment to a sustainable future and working closely with the different partners in the supply chain is good business, and it's good for our environment as well. And so I think ultimately, if we can move towards that direction, understand that this is what consumers want, understand that, by 2050, we have some lofty goals, then I think our commitment to a greener future will be stronger, and we'll have a much more positive outcome.
Awesome, Derek, for those insights. Where can people go to find out more about what Next Trucking is doing for the sustainability goals?
Yeah, so feel free to check us out on nexttrucking.com. It's our website. Along with, you can also, follow along on our blog, and we'll be sharing a lot more details around some of the programs that we're involved with, some of the initiatives that we're doing right now, and of course, I'm happy to jump back onto FreightWaves to share more.
Awesome, Derek. That was great. So we're going to let you go, but appreciate you being on here. Hopefully talk soon.
Thank you very much, and have a great day.